The last light on Cypress Road. Day 41 of the fall, somewhere in the backwaters between Winter Springs and the St. Johns, where the cypress knees claw at the sky like drowned fingers. I keep the flame of a stubby wax candle cupped in my palm, shielding it from the swamp-damp gusts that sweep through the half-collapsed bait shop we've claimed for the night. The glow paints my daughter Mara's cheeks gold while she sleeps, her tiny lungs puffing steadily beneath the tattered quilt I filched from a wrecked RV yesterday. Every rise and fall of her chest is proof that the world still contains something worth saving. I cling to that rhythm the way a man clings to a life raft, even though the raft is already leaking. 41 days ago, the dead learned how to stand back up, and Florida, flat, humid, and overrun with things that bite even on a good day, gave them the perfect staging ground. They surge in slow tides. The locals have christened shamblers, drifting across parking lots and scrubland alike, drawn by whatever remains of nerve and hunger in them. The news said it was a prion, then a parasite, then nobody said anything at all. By day 5, the networks flickered out and the radios filled with shrieks and static. Now there are only whispers and small fires. The band I'd travel with is more rumor than family. Jules, the ex-EMT, calm even with her scrubs, stiffened by dried blood. Desmond, who claims he was a Marine, though he's never produced a dog tag. And Lucas, a bow hunter built like the pines he grew up under, more at ease with deer than people. They found me wandering the I-4 overpass with Mara on my hip and enough canned beans for exactly 2 days. Lucas said I looked like roadkill that got up and started hitchhiking. Desmond laughed like that was the most hopeful thing he'd heard in weeks. And just like that, we were a group. Jules keeps our wounds clean with whiskey and prayer. Desmond guards the nights, swapping magazines beneath a harvest moon glare. Lucas hunts whatever game still breathes in the wetlands, mostly skinny boar and marsh rabbit these days. And me? I carry Mara, tell stories, and hide the bandage on my left forearm. Beneath a flannel sleeve, I never roll up. The bite is 3 days old. I want to believe I cut deep enough, early enough, that the infection won't cross the tourniquet I tied until the arm throbbed white. I want to believe other things, too, that the Horizon Sanctuary we keep hearing about on Channel 9A is more than a recycled loop, that the single dose of broad-spectrum antivirals Jules saved, tucked next to her heart like contraband hope, might still matter. Belief is air. We inhale it even when it reeks. We spend the next morning picking our way along Cypress Road, skirting stalled cars, blistered by summer sun. The pavement here bows and buckles, roots pushing up through tar like knuckles under skin. Every so often, we pass a corpse melted into the asphalt, a black and gray smear that reminds Mara of spilled paint. She tries not to look, but 8-year-olds notice everything. She grips my hand tighter each mile, and I grit my teeth when the infection pulses, sending a hot nail straight up my arm. By afternoon, the cicadas swell into a shrieking chorus, white noise for the end times. It hides the moans until they're practically inside our circle. The first shambler lurches from a ditch, clutching a plastic flamingo, jaw unhinged in a permanent grin. Desmond puts a .223 through its eye socket, but the shot calls the rest. A clot of 20, maybe 30 bodies shuffling between palmettos. We run, and the heat turns the highway into a mirage that stretches forever. At mile marker 22, we reach a silent gas station perched above the floodline. Lucas scrambles up the cinder block wall to the roof and drops a rope so the rest of us can climb before the horde arrives. One after another, we haul ourselves up until we notice Lucas is still leaning over the edge, trembling. A half-grown shambler, pupils milk blue and vacant, has latched onto his boot. He hacks at it with a hunting knife, but the thing holds on like a snapping turtle. Desmond's rifle barks, the kid crumples, and Lucas trudges to us with a new constellation of spatters on his jeans. "Not bit, just shaken," he mutters, but his voice tremors like a fishing line and nobody presses. Night crawls in thick and wet. Jules pours alcohol on our scrapes while Desmond paces, counting bullets. Lucas sits by the edge of the roof, staring at the moonlit herd corralled below us, drumbeats of hunger swelling each time they smell the living. There are fewer stars these days, as though the heavens can't bear to watch. I cradle Mara, humming an off-key lullaby my wife, God rest her, used to sing. My breath catches when Mara presses her ear to my chest. I'm certain she can hear the fever drumming inside me, yet she only whispers, "Daddy, your heart sounds strong." I wipe sweat from my brow and lie, "That's because you're close." Dawn bleeds peach and pink across the marshes. We rappel down the far side of the station and slog east into the reeds, hoping to outpace the shamblers before they untangle themselves from the gas pumps. The radio strapped to Desmond's pack crackles. Repeat. Horizon Sanctuary coordinates 28.6083 degrees north, 81.2047 degrees west. All healthy refugees welcome. Medical care, hot meals, and walls 15 feet thick. Keep moving. Hope is the horizon. Jules thumbs the dial. Same syrupy voice, same cheerful cadence. No response when she cries back, "How many of you are real?" It's almost a comfort, like a bedtime story, ends badly, but beg to hear again. Lucas spots an aluminum john boat tangled in lily pads along a canal that swings toward those coordinates. We pile in, Desmond on the motor, Lucas prow-side with bow drawn, Jules at Mara's back, me clutching my ticking time bomb arm. The water is tannic and black, mirroring the cypress trunks like pillars of a drowned cathedral. Somewhere beneath the surface, gators watch with ancient, patient eyes. Halfway across, Mara turns to me, brows knitting. "Daddy, your shirt is bleeding." The gash in my forearm has soaked through flannel and gauze. Jules rips fabric, checks the wound, and her pupils shrink to pinpoints. I see the verdict before she speaks, but Desmond still asks, "How long since he was bit?" 3 days, I admit. Lucas swears. Desmond's finger hovers over the safety of his rifle, warring with whatever oath he took back when the world still minted soldiers. Jules fishes out her lone vial of antivirals. "It worked once on a scratch," she says, voice shaky. "No guarantee on a bite." "All I've got," I murmur. My knuckles are chalk white around the gunnel. Mara sobs, hugging my waist. Lucas bows his head. Desmond angles the boat toward shore, where a ranger station rises on stilts. Inside, dust motes drift through shafts of sun, and the air smells of pine sap and musty pamphlets promising your swamp adventure starts here. Jules draws 5 cc of clear serum, swabs my arm, and slides the needle home. It burns like liquid ice. She bandages me fresh, tells me to rest, but I can feel the infection slithering deeper, mapping my veins like tributaries. The station's radio tower stands 3 stories tall. Lucid with fever, I volunteer to climb, anything to keep moving. Wind rattles the aluminum ladder as I ascend. From the top, I glimpse the distant skeleton of Orlando's skyline, high-rises clawing at storm clouds. Between here and there, the land is mottled green and swamp brown, studded with black dots that are either treetops or shamblers. I can't tell anymore. I switch the tower's booster on, feed extra juice into our handheld unit. Jules calls again. "Horizon, do you copy?" For the first time, The static stutters. "Copy," a baritone replies. My heart bangs. The voice continues. "Supply drop at sundown by the Debari water tower. Come alone, unarmed." Then the line cuts. Too crisp, too scripted. But we've dined on maybes for weeks. One more won't poison us worse than the air already does. We vote. Lucas calls it a trap. Desmond says any sanctuary worth its salt can spare a bulletproof welcome wagon. Jules glances at Mara. Child trumps doubt. 3-1, we march. Sundown ignites the sky, the color of a healing bruise, violet fringed with gold. The water tower looms ahead, its faded letters reading DEBRY, where storms have peeled paint. No figures, no crate, no hum of engines, only the buzz of cicadas and our ragged breathing. Lucas circles wide, returns with a thumbs down. Desmond curses and kicks a crushed beer can that tinkles down the asphalt. That's when we hear the music. A scratchy recording of big band swing drifts from the tower's shadow. Jaunty horns at odds with the death smell of swamp mud. Jules moves toward it, but Desmond yanks her back. "Sound draws them," he growls. No sooner spoken than shamblers stagger from the pines, pulled by that scratch track like moths to a bare ball. 10, then 30, then a flood. We bolt for a maintenance shed. Lucas unleashes arrows. Desmond's rifle barks until the chamber clicks empty. I shove Mara ahead and slam the door. Inside smells of diesel and decay. As Desmond braces a workbench against the entrance, the first fists pound wood. Splinters show the floor. Lucas whispers, "Roof hatch." We scramble up rusted rungs into a crawl space where shingles hang like loose scabs. The roof barely holds our weight, but it's high ground. We crouch in night breeze, reeking of rot, watching waves of dead below swirl like ants over sugar. Jules presses 2 fingers to my neck. Pulse jackhammering, skin furnace hot. She shakes her head. I know. We don't speak. Hours drag. The dead finally wander off, bored or sated by the echoes. Under starlight, Jules tears a scrap from her notebook, scribbles something, and folds it into my pocket. Her eyes spill, but her voice stays steely. "Promise me, if you feel the change before horizon, you do what we practiced." I nod, though every cell screams no. We leave at dawn. The landscape looks frostbitten, though the air steams. Gray ash from last night's shed fire drifts over everything. Desmond leads, rifle held like a divining rod. Lucas guards rear, arrow knocked. Jules steadies Mara, who shuffles sleepily, small hand swallowing hers. My vision tunnels. The edges crawl with shadows that twitch even when nothing moves. Somewhere inside, something else breathes. By late afternoon, I can't keep pace. We reach a sagging white church half submerged in kudzu. A bell hangs silent in its steeple, a cracked eye staring at a god gone absent. Desmond says we rest here. Lucas mutters, 1 more mile and we'd have the river between us and them. But my legs betray me. I sink to the pews, skin humming like live wires. While Desmond and Lucas argue perimeter, Jules kneels, syringe poised. "Second dose," she whispers. "I shouldn't waste it, but Mara." I grab her wrist. "No." She flinches. I try to smile. "Save it for someone who can outrun this." She cries, tells me there's no one left to outrun anything. I wait until they're asleep. I tuck Mara inside the confessional, lock the lattice door, and press my lips to her forehead. Her eyes flutter. "Daddy," I swallowed glass. "Stay quiet, Firefly. Count to 1,000. I'll knock when the bad dream's over." She believes me, because children must. That's how the world tricked us into building it. Promise. After a beautiful promise. In the sanctuary, I find parchment, dip a pen in communion wine, and write until my fingers cramp. If you find this, my name was Eric Haynes. My daughter Mara is in the confessional, alive, unbitten. She's braver than me, kinder than you'll ever know. Please take her somewhere. The sunrise still means tomorrow. I was bitten protecting her. I can feel it chewing through me like termites through a beam. I won't risk failing her twice. Bullets are loud, blades sometimes bounce. So I'm choosing rope and gravity behind the altar where she can't see. Tell her the last thing I thought of was her laugh, that comet of sound that makes even the dead feel small. Tell her I love her like light loves glass, enough to break it just to shine through. Tell her the pen drops, my vision blurs. A thunderstorm detonates inside my skull. I stagger behind the altar, loop rope over a beam, slip the noose around my neck with hands already going corpse numb, and the doors crash open. Shamblers pour in, drawn by some scent I can no longer mask. They move faster at nightfall, hunger sharpening their reflexes. I kick the overturned pulpit into their path, but the fever yanks my limbs in slow motion. One splits its jaw in a soundless roar and sinks teeth into my shoulder. Bliss pours in, cold, silk smooth, irresistible. The rope falls away. I fall with it. The infection flowers. I taste everything: candle wax, mildew, the iron tang of hymnals laced with dust. Memories snap like wet twigs. Names lose syllables, then meaning. The world shrinks to pulse sound, meat smell. Something thumps behind lacquered wood, small fists pounding, voice shrieking, "Daddy?" I shamble toward it, drool strings silver between rotten teeth. The door splinters outward. A single shotgun blast pulverizes my sternum, tossing me against the pews. I look up at Desmond's silhouette, framed by moonlight through stained glass. Smoke spirals from his barrel. Jules stands behind him, tears carving rivers through dust. Lucas kneels, arms around a trembling Mara, whispering hushes. Desmond fires again. Everything goes dark. When I open what's left of my eyes, I am staring down at myself. They've dragged my body outside, under a cypress strung with Spanish moss that sways like funeral linen. Jules fishes inside my pocket, finds the wine-blotched letter, and reads by flashlight. Her shoulders quake. Lucas looks away. Mara breaks from his grip, kneels beside what I've become. She kisses my cooling forehead, tiny hand on my ruined cheek. Her sob is the sound of a world ending a second time. Desmond tries to pull her back. She wrenches free. That single perfect heartbeat of her touch ignites something in the wreckage of my brain. A spark skitters along dead wiring, lighting one last bulb. Firefly. The word flickers, not on my tongue, long torn away, but somewhere behind my eyes. I reach, not to grasp her, but to remember. Gunfire cracks. Lucas, crying now, ends me proper with an arrow through the temple. The world jerks sideways, then stills. 2 weeks later. Sergeant Elena Ruiz of the Florida Guard kneels by a weather-beaten church recording helmet cam footage. Her squad has secured the area after intercepting distress flares. Inside the confessional, she found a girl, malnourished but alive, whispering numbers. 178. 179. Now Ruiz flicks through a stained letter. Wind rattles cypress leaves overhead. "Sir," she radios, voice thick, "we've got one juvenile survivor named Mara Haynes. Positive for natural antibodies, the new strain you wanted samples of. Father's KIA protecting her. Request immediate medevac." On the edge of the lens, a body bag bearing my name is lifted onto a stretcher. As they zip it, the camera dips, catching Mara staring after it, eyes reflecting the last light on Cypress Road. Ruiz lowers her visor. "Hold on, kid," she murmurs. "We'll get you somewhere the sunrise still means tomorrow." Behind her, the church bell rings once, though no breeze stirs, and no living hand pulls the rope.